Hello, beautiful soul family. Rebecca here, your vibe mentor. Welcome to another Monday Mastery, where we take a pulse on the energies, kind of feel into where we're at right now. What have we just experienced this past week, and bring in some guidance in how to move forward. How was your week? It was quite active from a solar weather perspective. I will remind you, this is a timeless message. I will take a couple of minutes to review the energies of this past week from a solar weather or astrological perspective. And then from there, the guidance on how to move forward is timeless. So whenever you find this, it is likely relevant to you. We had quite a few solar flares. From Saturday to Saturday, we had 69 M-class solar flares. And today, even just this morning, we've had 2 X-class solar flares. So things are picking back up. More M-class than anything, but still high level of intensity. At one point, we had 10 M-class flares within a 12-hour period. So that's pretty consistently coming in. We had a few Schumann resonance spikes. It looks like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then of course a couple of geomagnetic storms. We had one on Wednesday last week, again yesterday, and yesterday morning as well as yesterday evening. So quite a bit of activity going on. We also had the new moon. It was not too intense building up to it, but the day of, there certainly was palpable fatigue usually comes mostly with the new moon for me, but a feeling of big energies a couple of times throughout the week when we would have these consistent M-class solar flares coming in. The fatigue would hit, and having that guidance to just go rest, go sit down, receive whatever it is that's coming in. There's a sense of knowing that this is pretty important. Whatever we're receiving is very important, and so to open and allow that to penetrate the cells of your body is very important, and rest can be very helpful in doing that. Just really strong sense of the importance of what is coming in. It's interesting how I've mentioned in recent videos, June and July were high intensity, high activity, a lot going on, a lot of movement. And over the last 3 weeks, that intensity of movement has softened, meaning there's less busyness, yet the intensity of energy has continued or even increased this past week, which is interesting because the lack of busyness is allowing us to slow down and rest a bit. And yet the intensity of the energies keeps bringing up more things for us to address. This past week, or these past 10 days especially, there's been quite a few old issues that, of course, would align perfectly with the Mercury retrograde that has just recently started. So don't be surprised if you see another level of healing and purging and releasing that is available to you by the presence of the resurfacing of some of these older issues. You do have to be on the lookout for frustration, discontent, impatience. I've seen some people just kind of have the F it attitude, right? Screw this, I'm done, I quit, whatever I was trying to do, I'm throwing hands in the air, right? And to some extent, getting to that place of I'm done, or dare I say, fuck it. I don't usually swear, but that's what the note says, so we're going with it. That being in that I'm done place can be very helpful. It's actually a really good thing because we get to that place of saying enough is enough. I'm doing something about this. And so getting to the fatigue with the status quo, while it can be uncomfortable, is still helpful. And what it drives us towards is to sort of get on with the changes. And many times we can get stuck in waiting for something outside of us to change, waiting on the world to change, waiting on people around us. But when we come to this I'm done moment, or even a little bit of this impatience, it can push us to start making the changes, which is actually what needs to happen. It's interesting because there's a couple different themes, so you'll have to kind of bear with me because it does all come together. But it's there's also a theme of not really understanding or really questioning everything that we have known to be true, that there is a trust recession, that there's pervasive uncertainty. We can't even trust what we see with our eyes anymore. There's no telling, is it AI generated? Who really said that? What's the science behind it? Have they really done their research? Or is this just another person who claims to know something and posts it to look important. And so this trust recession is actually forcing us to go within. And so this outward, screw it, I'm done. I'm fed up with the status quo. I'm going to do something about it. Also requires this internal reflection, this internal dialogue, this leaning on the insight and wisdom that is within us, because the body is the temple. God is in your body. You have access to that. And it's actually helpful to not be able to trust everything that you see, to be in a trust recession, forcing us to go within and listen with discernment to the guidance that is already in you. It's interesting from an AI perspective or an online perspective, or just the show that is the world today, can cause us to question what I'm seeing. But also, again, here's another theme that kind of comes up in under this umbrella, is the knowing that, one, if you've experienced anything like complex trauma, if you did not feel safe, seen, heard, cared for, or loved for an extended period of time, even just marketing and the conditioning of the world today is causing changes in the brain and body similar to not just trauma, but even being a veteran and having traditional PTSD from being on the battlefield. It changes the way the brain perceives things. And you add to this, there's another layer, the fact that the human eye is only capable of receiving and processing 0.0035% of reality. That's not even a 0.5%. So this shifting of perception and the things I know and the things I can trust and the way I go about things and the way I create change in the world, it's all changing, because we can't even trust our own brain. We can't even trust our own eyes to be telling us the truth or to be showing us reality. And again, it's causing that questioning and that going within that says, what is really happening? What am I really called to? What is the truth? Right. And so this questioning, while it can be uncomfortable, it can feel destabilizing for someone who insists on their reality is as it always has been. And everyone is telling me the truth, and I should be able to blindly trust and be a sheep led to slaughter, essentially, which is interesting because that's just coming through as an analogy. This is destabilizing. It is uncomfortable, but is very, very necessary and very, very healthy, that we are learning to use discernment and understand the resonance of truth in our body. Truth resonates in your body. You can feel if someone is lying to you, and you can feel if you're tapping into something that's kind of leading down a path of like, I knew something was missing. This finally makes sense, right? So the slowing down that is happening is allowing us to go within and to feel and to sense and to learn how to do things differently, to learn how to live differently, to learn how to understand things differently, to learn how to create differently. It is not a lack of progress. So be careful, because that's the old conditioning that would say, if I'm not hustling and I'm not bustling and I'm not grinding, that I'm not making progress. But this very much is the most important priority, is understanding that we make progress in a new way. The way we are moving forward in the future is very different from how we have produced or progressed historically. And so there can seem like a loss of motivation. And especially if you're on the healing journey, you're losing your trauma motivation or your trauma drive. But that, again, is still a good thing. And that stillness is allowing you to shift into a new way of being, to use new faculties and new senses that you had historically suppressed or ignored. And there's a very delicate balance between being, right? Just be, allow yourself to be in stillness, but also discern, am I too still? Am I too stagnant? Have I been too active, right? And having the self-awareness and the self-honesty to recognize, am I causing myself a lack of motivation through fear? Am I holding on to old limiting beliefs? Am I avoiding trauma that needs to be healed? We really have to be honest with ourselves. So this delicate balance of being, discerning, self-honesty and awareness, discipline, guidance, and personal responsibility for action. Now, I would almost like rewind it, pause it. Maybe I'll say it again. Take notes, write this down, because these things, they're a felt sense. There's no one right? Again, going back to the trust recession, no one is going to be able to tell you if you have done enough or too much. You have to feel into these things. And it is a felt sense, right? A balance of being, discerning, self-honesty and awareness, discipline. Sometimes we do have to just say it's time to do the thing, whether you like it or not. Guidance and personal responsibility for action. Remember, the divine timing does not require waiting. Divine timing is alignment within you. The divine is waiting on you, and it's not the other way around. It is an active process, right? There's no waiting. And if you're waiting for someone to tell you what to do, you're waiting for someone to come save you, you're waiting for XYZ, doesn't matter. You'll notice the waiting is very uncomfortable because you're misaligned. This is not the place we're not meant to be in waiting. The divine timing, the waiting that might seem to come with that is really active in our own internal being of getting at what is the belief? What am I looking for? Am I looking for guidance? Am I discrediting the guidance that I've already been given? Am I avoiding what I know I need to do? That is the active waiting, if you will, that is required for you to find alignment so that you can step into divine timing, right? And for anybody who's listening, I'm using a lot of air quotes right now. So I just noticed that. The divine is waiting on you. It is not the other way around. So it is time to move. We all too often want things to be handed to us. We want things to be easy. We want things to fall into our lap. And it's not to say that these things don't happen sometimes. Maybe if I could look back in my life, there's been less than a handful of times where things have just magically fallen into place. Those things do happen. It's rare. Most of the time, it is the action that I'm being called to, the personal responsibility that is necessary to follow the little tiny pieces of guidance that seem less supernatural, right? Follow your joy compass. So that balancing, the divine is waiting on you. It is an active waiting process, and it is up to you to move, and you move in the way towards your joy. You follow your joy compass. You move in ways that nourish you, that help you get in touch with what brings you joy. Do you have unhealed trauma or even healed trauma? You can still struggle with joy foreboding. Do you struggle to know who you are and what makes you happy? That's your task at hand, right? When people want to know what is my purpose, if you are very much at the beginning of an awakening journey or you still have unhealed trauma, that is your purpose. Your purpose is fully self-actualizing, becoming all that you can be. And that is going to be difficult for you to do if you don't know what makes you happy, or you still struggle with creating a joyful life, right? And here's the last theme that kind of wants to come in is focus on what you want to see. Going back to the 0.0035%. I could like to call it a 0.5% for easy math. When we know that we cannot see a vast majority of reality, then we get to start to use our eyes differently and understand what we perceive differently. And I love the biblical statement or verse that says, ask and it will be given. And that is followed by two other statements that people tend to leave off. Yes, ask and it will be given, but you also must seek so that you can find. You also must knock so that the door will be open. This is, again, an active process. This is not just I ask and it comes. It is looking with eyes to see and telling my eyes, I know that you're overlooking a vast majority of the reality that is available to me. And so now I'm going to choose to see, show me the abundance, show me the overflow. I'm going to seek until I find it. I'm going to knock until that door opens. I'm going to be active in my waiting, right? And another verse that says, the eye is the lamp unto the body. If your eye is good, it will be filled with light. And what that means is, what is your eye choosing to see? Is your eye choosing to see opportunity for service? Is your eye choosing to see love? Is your eye choosing to see provision? Is your eye choosing to see the goodness that is all around you? And if not, your eye is bad, which means your body will not be filled with light. And the unfortunate things that fill its space are almost equivalent to hell. That is not the life that we were designed for, right? Well, the system, what's okay. And one more thing. I said that was the last one. There is one more, itchy nose today. The other theme that's coming through this week especially is the awareness that while the systems are crumbling and the world seems to be falling apart, on an individual level, especially for those working on healing, working on stepping into their purpose, committed to self-actualization, things are actually getting better. Things are getting really good. It's as if the reward for the work that we've been doing is starting to come in. So it's really interesting to watch the world crumble while those of us who've been doing the work are rising up. So don't let what's happening over here scare you. Focus your eye on the light so that your body can be made whole, so that you can step into the life that God intended for you. God does not want you to suffer. He wants you to learn how to use the power that you have been gifted authority and responsibility for. And he won't hold your hand, kind of like a parent can't hold their child up as they're learning to walk. He's going to let you fall, but it's not because you're destined to a life of suffering. It's because this is how we learn to run. So really allow yourself, not even allow, command that you will see the good. Let your eye be filled with light. See the goodness all around you. And it can be very helpful too, if you are struggling, take your focus off yourself. Those self-centered, self-referential thoughts are the cause of your suffering. Right? If I am always focused on me and my expectations and the way I want the world to be for me, I'm going to be in pain and suffering. But if I focus on how can I be of service? How can I help others? Where are opportunities for generosity? Where are opportunities to give? Right? They say it is greater to give than to receive. It's really true. Give it a try, practice for a bit. Take your thoughts off yourself for 5-10 minutes and you'll notice a difference. I can promise you that. And the beauty of this is as the world is crumbling and we stop focusing on ourselves and we start focusing on unity and oneness and coming together, we are building the new systems. And sounds so overplayed to say that gratitude is the key, but it really is the answer. It is what helps us see the other part of reality that is out there that is available to us. When you step into gratitude, then you can move into appreciation, then you move into awe, you just move into utter humility to be gifted the opportunity to play the game called life. And it really is fun. Life is meant to be fun, but the key is you have to learn how to make it fun. And that is our purpose, because at the end of the day, your purpose in fully self-actualizing is so fulfilling and overwhelming and joyful that you can't help but rise all the remainder of the boats with you, right? So the tide rises all boats. As you elevate those around you. That's why it is almost selfish to not work on yourself, to not work on your healing. Let's not forget the butterfly effect, that as you heal, you create ripples throughout the universe. I love you, my friends. Stay grounded with all of this solar energy. Stay grounded always. Hydrate. And yeah, love on somebody today. Share some love. I love you, my friends. And I'll see you on the next one. Oh, and if you have not already, check out this weekend's video. It was all about choosing to see the reality that you want to see and how to quantum leap in your reality by learning to command your eyes to see what is available to you already. All right. I love you, my friends. Namaste.